Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. It's a quasi nice day out there, but I always find a way to put me in a good mood for it. We're going to get diving into today's training in just a minute about a pivot I had to do, and a lot of us, I think, are kind of encountering that. Let me just turn off my captions here really quick, or one of them. But I did want to start off with just a tip for success that's related to today's training. But because you're here early and on time, you get it. And later on, if there's a replay, I snip it out. But what I wanted to share with you was this idea of your network and communicating out there. We've got a network right here of people who are in the chat, but also you should be engaged on LinkedIn on a daily basis. You never know when you're going to need your network. There's so many government employees who are getting laid off, like 10,000 from HHS. And many of them never have built a network. They're just in the government. That's the space they're thinking. But your network is broad, right? It's inside of, if we use HHS, it's inside of HHS, but it's also the broader government employment community, the industry, your church, your neighborhood, Toastmasters, volleyball, whatever it is. All of those groups of people make up your network. And the reason I'm saying it's really important to have a network is today I just put out a post this morning. I was just like, well, you know what? Let me just mention, because I was thinking, oh, I got training today about AI and my pivot. Let me just tell people in a LinkedIn post, just a text post about my pivot. And I think I started off with DOGE killed my government contracting business. And here's what I did to stay alive, or here's what I'm doing to stay alive. And basically, it's what I'm going to talk to you about today in the training. But in all the people who are coming back, right? And I have a bigger network than yours, but that's fine. We all have whatever network we have. But people, when they heard that I was pivoting, many people were like, hey, if I can help at all, hey, I'm over here at this agency. If there's things we can do to collaborate, this is awesome. So I'm writing down the names. So I can help them and they can help move forward. It's good. So my tip for you, for those showing up early and on time, is make sure you maximize your network. And a lot of times it's give, and then ask, right? It's not ask, but giving. If you can give things away, information, support, whatever it is, it doesn't cost us anything to support other people. Okay, enough of that. I get really passionate about my network and you who are in my network, in my community. I love it when we help each other out there. Okay, so let me get my slides and we're going to get off and running with today's training around how I'm pivoting into AI, into artificial intelligence. I want to set the example here because one of the things that I noticed with this post I did this morning is a lot of people thought I was pivoting like everything I'm doing. It's like, no, this is just one part of it. So I stood up a company called Nancy Co. on January 1st. And I stood it up so that I could show people I don't just talk. I don't just teach, right? My processes, if you follow them, will lead to successful government contracting business. It's not going to make you a billionaire. Well, first off, it's not going to make you a billionaire, but it's not going to make you a tens of millionaires person right away or business right away. But it's all progressive. That's how our career is, and that's how our businesses are. They grow. So I stood up Nancy Co. to say, look, I'll start a business and grow it in 1 year to $1 million in revenue, and I will document every little up and down about it. Nothing happening in the background. And at most, I'll work on it 1 hour a day. And I'm currently working on it maybe 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week. So I'm a little bit behind, but that's okay. I can move a little bit faster. So anyways, Nancy Co. very quickly, the initial plan was to be this communication outreach company. It kind of seemed to align with what I was doing. I didn't really care what the core competency was going to be. I was just teaching people, you got to pick something. And so I picked communication and outreach, in particular, LinkedIn. I was thinking I would be able to help federal agencies, small business offices, or contracting shops who are trying to reach industry. I'm like, hey, I'm an expert at LinkedIn and these lives. My newsletter is twice as big as DOD or anybody else in the government contracting space. So I've got some good street creds there. And I had it up for, 20 days, maybe 30 days until DOGE kicked off in the end of January. And boom, things started getting hammered, as we all know. And communication and outreach was one of the things that started getting hammered. And so first off, just in general, they were looking at communication outreach as non-essential, but Elon Musk came along as well and said, I don't know if he said this, he probably did not say it, but people in agencies began to just look to X as this communication channel instead of LinkedIn, which is the proper one. So anyways, it just got killed, right? And all of a sudden, what I thought I would build a business in 2025 around the core competency of communication outreach just cut. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And that's what today's training is going to be about. I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing. I do want to tell you about this book called Who Moved My Cheese. It is one of my favorite books. It's my absolute favorite book related to today's training and the lesson of sometimes people move your cheese. In this book, these guys kept coming, these 4 characters kept coming to a cheese station, always lots of cheese. And then one day there was no more cheese. 2 of the characters were like, well, all of them went, what the heck? But 2 of them spent months in there going, what the heck? Where's my cheese? They went through all the emotional roller coaster experiences, sad, mad, outraged. But 2 other characters went and came back a couple of days. They're like, wow, there really is no more cheese. Okay, time to go out into the maze of life and find out where the next cheese station is. And they just started sniffing and scurrying around to find that. And it's the same thing for me, right? I was going to build a communication outreach company. You're doing whatever you might be doing, and something happens. Well, that's just a cheese station. It's no longer producing cheese. It's time to look for a new station. And I needed to, I wrote fine, but really I needed to go build my new cheese station. And that's why I chose AI, and I'll dive deeper into it. But so that's where we're at. And that's why I want to do this training to show you that even somebody like me, I'm really experienced. I went, oh, here's the idea of what I'm going to do. And then my legs got cut out from underneath me. It's like, okay, even a professional boxer like a champion gets knocked down. Sometimes you just got to get it back up and start moving forward. So we're going to be diving into how I'm standing up a new AI business. I only got 25 minutes or something more until 12:30. So you're not getting everything. You can go to YouTube and follow my journey out there on the videos as I drop them. I think there's like 32 videos at the moment as I go along. But today I'm going to be diving into this whole idea of standing up a new AI business. And I want to share with you that lesson in 3 sections. First, I want to talk about what do I mean about AI and when I'm talking about this from a clear, focused offer. This is what we talk about. Other terms we use are, what's your core competency, right? What are you competent at? If you think about a nurse, for example, a nurse is good at taking care of the patients, but then a nurse might be competent at doing IVs or something. And these are all different competencies. And so that's why we say your core competency. What are you competent at? A nurse, like a lawyer, can be many different things. A lawyer might be legal, might be tax law, real estate law, corporate law, et cetera. And it's the same thing for us. We need to have a clear, focused offer. So I want to talk about that. Then I want to tell you why I chose AI and what do I mean when I say AI, because that's not really niched down. And then I'll wrap up with how I'm planning on getting federal buyers' interest, getting them interested in working with me in this path. Along the journey of Nancy Co., one thing I said is I'm going to this $1 million, but I'm not doing it as a prime contractor. I'm doing it as a sub, but I still need to get the buyer interested, even if I go in with a teaming partner. And so I want to give you some ideas of how I'll do that. By the way, go ahead and do me a favor. If you haven't done this, throw your company name into the chat, core competency. Let me know that you're along for the ride, but let other people know who you are. 2 or 3 words about your core competency really helps us understand who you are. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm co-founder of GovCon in a Box, where we really put these tools in place to help you with federal sales. And I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner after I got out of the Army. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. And this is what I want for you. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about unpredictability, but that's okay. It fits in. If you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn and you're out there on YouTube in particular, come over, connect with me. If you're creating content so I can see that stuff. Otherwise, just follow my profile on LinkedIn. And make sure you subscribe to the Government Contracting Success newsletter. I'm constantly putting out information that I think would be very helpful to your business development and capture your sales activity in the federal space. I do want to just congratulate very quickly the companies in the 100 Club. Let me go ahead and minimize myself there for a second. These companies in the 100 Club have gotten their federal visibility score from 1 to 100. They're at 100, and it's really exciting. And here's the next batch, another 100 or another 67 of them. And what the federal visibility score is, how visible is your company to federal buyers when they're looking for you? Go to govconinabox.com. We built a free tool over there so that you can see your profile and how visible you are to federal buyers on their tools. This is a really important activity. And then I also put guidance in there that tells you how do you go from 0 to 100. And it's really exciting for me to watch or hear from people who are going, hey, I was at 59, I'm at 79, I'm at 90. I'm just trying to push that last little bit. We want to help you get to the 100 club. And so go to govconnectbox.com and you'll be able to check that out. All right, I am definitely going to be talking at a fire hose pace because there's a lot I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to shove it into the 20 minutes we have. But it's exciting information, right? One of the things, just to kind of bring us back to this, why a clear focused offer. So I'm pivoting. If you're coming in a little bit late, right? I'm pivoting away from communication outreach as a core competency for my Nancy Co. company. And if you don't know this, Nancy is my wife's name. That's how I named it. It's like every time I'm working on the company, I'm thinking of her. So anyways, I'm pivoting from communication outreach into AI. And one of the things that's really important as I go forward is I can't be everything out there for everyone, right? So I wrote, I can be this for everyone, but not everything. I think I said not everything to no one. I don't think I wrote that quite the way I meant it. But what I mean is like, you can't help everybody first off, no matter what. There's just too many customers out there. So you have to decide who are you going to help. And the way you decide who you're going to help is decide how are you going to help them. And what I recommend is you need to tighten that up. And for me, in a minute, I'll see if I can't talk a little bit more about how I'll be helping with AI. But let me use my last company as an example. My last government contracting business, very successful. We niched down from IT to software development to Microsoft SharePoint. So we came down like 4 levels to Microsoft SharePoint. And we would say, we're a Microsoft SharePoint company, Microsoft SharePoint support services, et cetera. And we help you through migrations, administration, and software development in SharePoint. And that was a really important thing for us because it made it easier for other people to remember who we were. My last company, people knew us as the SharePoint guys. We did all sorts of other things. We made a lot of money in something called enterprise architecture, which has nothing to do with SharePoint. But we were able to do it because we built a relationship with the customer and then saw that opportunity and said, hey, we can support it. And SharePoint can be a key component of that support. But when you niche down, when you have a clear focused offer, this is why I like people to put in your focused offer, like Chris Moffitt right here, right? We do all things training. I would actually ask her not to limit it too much, but all things training. Are you training on weapon systems in the Army that we're using, or is it more knowledge-based type training? But I'm looking at that going, oh, Chris Moffitt's in my head. If somebody says, do you know a company that does training? It's like, go talk to Chris Moffitt. You know why? She does all things training kind of thing. It sticks in. That's why you want a clear, focused offer. It makes the messaging simple. So in your capability statement on your website, you don't need a ton of convoluted language. They can go to ChatGPT and Google to get all that. What they want is focus right away. Dave Waltz is in here from the Navy. He's on the federal buying side. If he came in looking for us, he doesn't want to see that we do all this stuff because he can see that with DSPS and see somebody or company, all these companies. What he wants to know is, oh, I'm looking for this. You say you sell it. Everything you're kind of saying is reinforcing that. And so that's what I mean by it makes your message simpler when you got a clear, focused offer in there. Let me pop back out because I like the double box here. The next thing that I wrote here is the riches are in the niches. Literally, if you look behind me, I was so tired when I was doing my prep. I wrote the niches are in the riches. I don't know if that's kind of quite right. But anyways, the riches are in the niches. And this is something I'm going to do someday about myths, top myths around the niche idea. One of the myths is that if I say that you should do a niche, or if you niche down, you can only do that. No, the idea of the riches are in the niches means that your niche is the tip of the spear, and it gets you into the agency of your choice or the customer of your choice. And then you expand to sell related stuff and more stuff, right? And if you're a small business, you get in and you really begin to get experience around that niche, and then you can expand. So being niched down doesn't mean you can't expand later, but it means if you try to sell something, or even if you're Booz Allen and you come in and go, hey, we do all this stuff, person's gonna be like, oh, wow, okay, see ya. But if you niche down, even Booz Allen, $1 billion firm, if they niche down for this salesperson going into this meeting and they say, we sell data analytics. Well, now everything is about the data analytics. That's how the riches come along, because then you're able to find opportunities tied to that niche you just said. So I wrote here, can't be AI. And what I meant by this is I'm pivoting out of communication and outreach, which I actually tightened down to LinkedIn communication outreach. I'm pivoting off of that into AI, but AI is everything, right? It's the company OpenAI, or I don't even know the names of all these different things, but you've got Microsoft Azure's got a new AI play. You've got Google, all these major platforms. You've got these things called LLMs, large language models, maybe even there's small language models. You've got all this kind of stuff that is super sophisticated, super complex, enterprise type stuff. That's not my area, right? I need to find a place within AI that's niching down. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next slide. So what about you? Do you have a niche? As I'm talking about my niche, what is your niche, right? I'm looking at training and workforce development from Michelle there. What is your niche? Can you put into the chat, right? What you sell? We sell this to the government, and a niche, kind of a statement. Put it in there. Let's see if it's a niche, and then actually ask yourself, is it a niche? I'm looking at somebody puts telecommunication and internet. Softly, right, and desire to help you, I would say telecommunication internet is not a niche, right? Are you doing WAN stuff? Are you doing the equipment? Are you doing the fiber optics? I did telecommunication for a long time where I was laying fiber optic cable. Niche down, right? I was talking to Russ. I don't know if he's on here today. Rossini has been with us the longest of these trainings, and he's tightening down to cabling. And he's like, is that enough, or should I go up? I'm like, go all in on cabling. Every military ship or every Navy ship has all this cabling. Every building has cabling. You can build a cabling business and be known as the cablers. I just made that up. Okay, so while you're putting that in, so Hillary's talking about they do full lifecycle recruiting of network engineers, right? Be niche down. So let me talk to you about why I chose artificial intelligence. And the main reason is because I'm like, oh, my feet just got cut out from underneath me by DOGE. They took away basically communication outreach of any value. I don't see that there's going to be a big play for contracts out there. What am I going to do? And I'm looking around, like in my head, but that's what it's like. Looking around, and AI was there for sure, but I hadn't thought about it until I started walking away, and I was looking for some AI courses that I might be able to refer to people and say, hey, you should take a look at this. And I saw this one slide on this 1 3-minute video that OpenAI was doing about something called GPTs. And I'm not going to go too far into it, partly because I don't really understand it as much yet. I can talk at a really high level. But the idea of these GPTs, when I heard this and I saw it, it instantly clicked. And then I realized that's exactly what I'm trying to do with ChatGPT. I go into ChatGPT on a daily basis, and I'm using it for different things. Like one of my favorite ways to use ChatGPT is I'll write a response to something like let's say an RFI. I'll write a response. I don't use the AI to write the response for me. I write the response, and then I put the response in the source document into ChatGPT, and I go, hey, can you look at the source and tell me whether I nailed what they were trying to say? Did I hit it? And the reason I like that is because that's the easiest way for me to use ChatGPT like a peer, right? Imagine me turning to a colleague and say, hey, can you review my stuff and tell me how's it going? And that's a really fun way for me to do it. Well, some of this stuff, as you begin to use ChatGPT, just typing things into it, the next level of usage is to be able to kind of automate that same use. So some people might use it for writing content on LinkedIn, which I don't. Any of those kind of things that you do, you can begin to automate it into GPTs. And the way this, this training laid out on the slide, GPTs. And by the way, a GPT, now roll with me because I'm still at the early stages, right? And I'll come back and tell you how I refine my messaging and become more of an expert on this. But I have ChatGPT. This is a tool platform from OpenAI, right? An application platform I can go into. They call them software as a service. So I pay my monthly subscription and I go in there, and they've got free versions. And I go in there and I do things. So that's ChatGPT, but I'm constantly having to type stuff in to the prompt, right? To the little screen there. And a GPT is looking at what I do and go, well, you can pull this part out and train the GPT or train Chat GPT. So now I just show up and let's just say I throw 2 documents into this GPT, but I've already trained it on how to analyze. Anytime I throw 2 documents in, one's the source, one's the the destination, let's say, and compare them. And I know I'm getting overly complicated here in there, but that's kind of an idea about a GPT. Another way of thinking about it is if you use SharePoint, you can build apps. We call them out of the box apps. And so you could build apps that run your business. Same thing with Excel. You can build a macro that automates what you do in Excel sometimes. So that's kind of how I look at a GPT. And the thing that attracted to me about it is it gave me the 3 bullets I'm going to start talking to the government about. When I say I'm going to help you with Chat GPT, and I'll come back and talk to you more about that in a minute. I'm going to be talking to them about accelerators, enablers, and transformers. Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, let me tell you what I'm talking about, right? When I say accelerators, I mean taking a task you know really well and you do really well and automating it with Chat GPT or with GPTs and enable you to do it faster and at a higher quality. But it's doing that of something you already know. So that's just an accelerator of something you know. An enabler, and by the way, I'm not here to debate AI or any of these things. I'm talking about how I made my pivot. And so I don't see the chats, but I just want to make sure that's clear. I'm not trying to be an AI expert yet. Enablers, right? Enablers let me go beyond my current skill set. There's things I would like to do and I can kind of understand it, but that's not my skill set. Well, now I can build tools that will help that. Imagine if I went and helped the federal government and they've got some people sitting at desks and I can build this GPT that can basically add a skill set to them. So they're still in charge. They're still running it, but now they've got this GPT that I'm going to do that'll move forward. And the last one is transformation. This transformers enables us to go so far beyond just this basic business process automation to what they call AI native processes. And so having everything in the system. I'm not here to teach AI, but what I'm saying is when I just had this epiphany by watching that training, I was like, I get that. It's exactly what I'm doing for myself. I can sell that to my customers. And so I can ramp up and become an expert. There's not that many experts out there because AI, for the most of us, just came out last year, right? I understand AI has been around for a decade or whatever, but for most of the world, it just came out last year. And so when you think about all the knowledge workers I might be able to support within the government, and a knowledge worker, somebody sitting in a chair looking at a computer, when you think about all those people, 90% of them don't even know how to use these tools. And that's the part that excites me. I put here that AI is not the future, it's the now. And I think a lot of us would agree to that, right? It's here. I don't know if I say this somewhere else well, if I do, I'll just repeat it again. But this reason for choosing AI, I chose it similar to the government. This next bullet, every federal office has access. That's another great reason for me to choose it. It reinforced my decision to go into AI, but into these GPTs. So I'm going basically to the desktop level of AI, not the enterprise. I'm not talking to the CIO and trying to work with them. I'm talking to the business users, the people in the hospitals, people, agents who are doing jobs, et cetera. The reason I like that, though, is basically AI is going to be available to all of them. It is not yet. It's not fully rolled out where they have a clue which tools they can use. But when my last company, it's the same decision I made. I was actually doing massive project management work in the telecommunications space. That was our world. But we were using SharePoint all the time. We pivoted over to SharePoint because the government, 90% of the federal agencies already owned the licenses for SharePoint. So we didn't have to sell them anything. We said, we can help you make money, get your investment back. And it was a really good sale. And so I see that as the same thing here with AI, right? I can go in and show you how to maximize what tools the CIO shop is buying for every user in the organization. The other thing that's just another bullet, but just reinforces it, is the Trump administration. First thing they did is came in and kind of put 2 executive orders in place. One was a little bit of taking off perceived handcuffs from the past, and I don't care about politics in training. I'm just here about the AI, right? But he took off the limitations that were put on it in the previous administration, which all of us were thinking was the right thing to do because there was a little fear. And he put another executive order out that basically said, let's accelerate the heck out of this AI idea so that America is leading the charge. We're not behind China and Russia and other places on the use of AI, especially in the federal government. So now I've got all these agency leaders, federal buyers, who were thinking to themselves, I need to use AI. They don't even know what AI is yet, right? And I'll get better at how I communicate what AI is. I'm not an AI company out there, right? I do federal sales training. I'm just showing how to stand this up. And the last thing is AI is a buzzword. And I wrote here, I can ride the long tail of AI for marketing. And that buzzword, people are all talking about AI and they think they know what they're talking about. That's cool. I'll go in there and have conversations with them. They want to talk about AI. Everybody's kind of willing to have a conversation about AI. So it makes it easier for me to ride in on that. I don't have to convince people of things. They're already believing AI should be integrated into their businesses and day-to-day kind of work. I just need to get in there and guide them along. And so my marketing material can do that. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. I know I'm going really fast. If it makes sense, put AI rocks in the chat. Let me know I picked a good core competency for Nancy Co. Otherwise, Nancy's going to kill me. Okay. Oh, really quick before I continue to the how, I just wanted to thank our sponsors for these lives that we're doing. Right now, we've got Graham Inc. is a sponsor of ours. They do staffing and American Sign Language services, and they're awesome. So especially if you've got needs for trying to recruit people, reach out to them. They're willing to talk with you, and I'm sure some of them are in here. Steel Toed is a cybersecurity and CMMC services company. If you've got a desire to work with DOD and you're looking to prepare your company to get CMMC certified, or you're looking to get CMM certified, they can do either one of those for you, not both, but they can do either one, prep you or certify you. So definitely reach out and talk to them about CMMC. And then the last one is Silk River Capital, small business lender. They're specializing in the GovCon space, so make sure you check them out. And we're a sponsor, right? I'm a co-founder at GovCon in a Box. It's SaaS tools that are designed to maximize, ironically, AI to help you succeed in federal sales. So check us out on GovCon in a Box. All right, let me get to this last main slide is how do I plan? So I'm pivoting. I'm like, yesterday I was all about LinkedIn and communication for Nancy Co. And now I just said, well, there's nobody in the company but me and Nancy kind of, but the pivot I'm doing, I'm saying, hey, everybody, we're now a AI company. It's like, well, okay, how are we going to start doing that, right? And here's just some of the things I'm thinking about. And if you watch on YouTube, I'll throw out videos that just go to YouTube about the journey of Nancy Co, where I tell you, like, here's some things I'm doing really well. Here's some things I'm messing up. But this part I understand really well because this is sales. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is I keep saying GPTs and some of this other stuff. I feel like I got a general idea what I'm talking about, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. And what that tells me is my language needs to come way down. I got to figure out how to, like, GPT could sit as a little bullet on my spreadsheet, but I need a different way of talking about how AI could be used by my customers. And so I'm going to simplify the language. I'm going to make it relatable to what my customers do, et cetera. The next thing I'm doing, and I'm already doing this, and if you were here early, you heard me mention, I've got people reaching out and saying, hey, how can I help you? But I'm teaming with small businesses who already have contracts within federal agencies. And I'll probably look for people who are winning in, let's say, 541611, which is administrative. That means they're inside the business side of government, right? I don't need to be out on the battlefield or something. That's not where I would fit. And so I want to find small businesses winning within some of the agencies I want to go after, and then I will approach them to team up. The next thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to pick up speed here because I got like 2 minutes left, is I want to brainstorm simple ideas. This is a really important thing to think about. When you have something to offer to the customer, but you've never worked with them, I'm a big fan of creating a roadmap where you're like, boop, 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 and you tell a customer, hey, you start with this little thing, and then you go to this thing, and you go to this thing. It's a really important thing I learned back when I was selling vacuum cleaners. You tell the customer what the journey is like to the bazillion-dollar contract by saying it's only cost you $1 to get started, kind of thing, right? So I'm going to brainstorm simple ideas around business processes that the average federal knowledge worker is doing. I'm going to create some free demos, right? But I'm going to look and talk to some people in small business, go, hey, what's somebody in your office doing? Let me just go create it. What do I care? I could sit here and wait for a contract and go, I'll do the work when I get paid, or I can just do examples and hope I get more work. I'm not doing anything for them for free, but I'm using real world examples as my marketing, not a slick sheet. I'm going to have a credit card purchase option. That was like one of the beginning ones. Hey, $3,500 and you can ramp up with this. And then I have more and more ideas, right? That idea of a roadmap guiding it forward. And the last thing that I have here is I'm going to create 5 infographics around AI. When I simplify the language, I might do it as an infograph or even a little video, but somehow I need to get the word out that Nancy Coe is an expert. I'm actually probably going to ask Nancy to do the videos because Nancy Coe, I'm building in the blind as much as possible. So I'm not using a ton of me. This way people can see that they can build it as well. But anyways, I'm going to have 5 infographics. They don't have to be overly sophisticated. I might even go to Fiverr and have somebody build it for me for $50 a piece or something. All right, so some things I want you to remember just as we go out of the training. Remember, you got to recognize when a pivot is necessary. The government has a problem with sticking with projects that have failed back here, but we keep hoping they'll go right. And it's the same thing for businesses. We can't keep hoping communication outreach is the right way. Know when to pivot. Make sure you niche down. Come all the way down. Can't just say AI. I got to go all the way down to that GPT thing. And then the last one is quickly validate with your customer. That's what I mean by those demos. I'm going to go talk to them and say, this is what I'm doing. All right, I like to end on time. My time's out. Come check me out more in the next training tomorrow. But for now, just remember government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you in the next training.